Minneapolis can look easy to live in without a car until your real weeks start asking harder questions. A coffee shop nearby does not solve your commute. Restaurants within walking distance feel great, but groceries matter more once you live there. Bike trails can make the city feel connected in the summer, then January shows up and tests how realistic that plan actually is. So, do you need a car in Minneapolis? For most buyers, I would think Minneapolis as car light before I would call it fully car free. That means you may be able to drive less, rely on one car instead of two, walk to more daily spots, bike more often, and use transits for certain routines. Still, Minneapolis is not Chicago or New York. Your neighborhood matters, your job location matters, winter matters a lot. So instead of giving you a simple yes or no, I want to walk through 5 Minneapolis area buyers usually compare when they want a more walkable lifestyle. If you're coming from a bigger city, your idea of walkable may be very different from someone moving out of the suburbs. Walkability has to match your real week. A neighborhood can be walkable and still not work for you. Maybe coffee is close, but grocery stores are inconvenient. A restaurant district may be nearby while your office still requires a long drive. The lake could be easily reached in July, then winter changes how often you actually go. That is why I would not judge Minneapolis walkability from a score or a neighborhood name alone. Start with your routine. Where do you work? How often do you need groceries? Would you bike, walk, or use transit when weather is bad? Could you live with one car instead of two? Those answers matter more than the online reputation of any neighborhood. A renter can test an area for a year and adjust later. A buyer needs to think more carefully because a routine becomes a part of the home. That is the lens I would use for every area on this list. Not hype, real daily function. Number 1, North Loop and Downtown. North Loop and Downtown are usually the easiest places to understand if you want more urban Minneapolis lifestyle. You have restaurants, coffee shops, entertainment, sports, riverfront access, apartments, condos, office, and more transit options nearby. For someone who wants to drive less, that concentration can be valuable. North Loop especially tends to make sense when people who want active neighborhood with a polished city feel. Downtown can work, but the exact building and block matter more than people expect. Parking setup, HOA fees, grocery access, noise, building rules, and how often you leave the area all changes the decision. This is where the car question becomes personal. If your work, gym, dinner plans, coffee shop, and your social life are all nearby, this area could help you drive much less. A buyer whose job, family, hobby, or errand pull them across the metro will probably still want a car. The area can reduce driving. It may not replace driving for every buyer. Number 2, Uptown, Lyn-Lake, and Laurel Hill East offer a different version of walkability. This is more neighborhood energy than downtown living. You get restaurants, coffee shop, bars, local businesses, trails, lake access nearby, and more active Minneapolis feel. For buyers who want the city to feel social without living in the middle of downtown, this area often catches attention. The lifestyle works best when you actually use what's around you. Walking to dinner, grabbing coffee close to home, biking towards the lakes, or having local spots nearby can make daily life feel easy. Someone who works from home may really like this setup because the neighborhood becomes part of their workday. Lunch, errands, movement, and evening plans can all feel more accessible. The reality check is that not every block works the same way. A home can be close to activities and still have parking that frustrates you. The place that feels perfect in June may feel different when the sidewalks are icy. Groceries, transit, and commute patterns should be tested before you assume neighborhoods solve everything. Uptown and the surrounding pockets can be strong for a low car lifestyle, but the best fit is usually someone who wants Minneapolis energy and plans to use it often. If you want to drive less in Minneapolis, what are you trying to replace first? A commute, grocery trips, restaurant driving, coffee runs, or needing a second car? Drop in the comments because the answer changes which neighborhood makes sense. Number 3, Whittier and Eastside. Whittier is where walkability can feel practical instead of just attractive. Each street gives the area a lot of local activities, and the central location can make several parts of Minneapolis easier to reach. That can be useful if you want access without choosing the most polished or expensive version of the city. This neighborhood may fit someone who values restaurant, coffee, local businesses, transit options, and proximity to active areas. A buyer coming from a larger city may appreciate how connected it feels. Someone moving from a quieter suburb should spend time there first to decide whether this pace feels comfortable. Whittier also shows why walkability is not only about charm. Useful walkability means your week gets easier. Can you grab food nearby without driving? Would errands feel manageable? Do transit options connect to the places you actually go? Does the area still work in the winter? Those questions matter because Whittier can be a great fit for one buyer and too active for another. The exact home still matters. Parking changes by property, street feel can shift by block. So do not treat the neighborhood name as a full answer. Whittier belongs on the list because it can support and connect lifestyles when the details line up. Number 4, Northeast Minneapolis. Northeast has a personality people remember. Restaurants, breweries, local businesses, art energy, river access, and the neighborhood character gives a different feel from downtown, Uptown, or Whittier. For some buyers, the local identity is the whole draw. A lower car lifestyle can work in parts of Northeast, but the pockets matter. Certain spots put you close to coffee, bars, parks, restaurants, and local businesses. Other areas might still leave you driving for groceries, work, errand, and regular appointments. That does not make Northeast inconvenient. It means that you need to be specific. Relocation buyers sometimes hear Northeast and imagine one consistent lifestyle across the whole area. Real life is more detailed than that. If you want to walk to restaurants and coffee, make sure the home is actually close enough to the place you plan to use. A bike can help stretch your access in better weather. Winter will decide how often your routine still feels realistic. For most buyers, I would call Northeast car light rather than fully car free. You may drive less, enjoy more neighborhood activities, and feel connected to local spots without depending on your car for every plan. That balance is exactly why many people like it. If you already live in Minneapolis, which neighborhood feels easiest when you do not want to drive? Put your answer in the comments because someone watching from out of state learn a lot from people who actually live the routine. Number 5, Linden Hills and the Lake area. Linden Hills and the nearby lake-focused pockets offer a quieter version of walkability. This area does not feel like North Loop, it does not function like Whittier. The appeal is more residential, calmer, and tied to local shops, restaurants, parks, trails, mature streets, and lake access. For buyers who picture Minneapolis as lakes, neighborhood charm, outdoor routines, and a slower pace, this part of the city can make sense. Depending on the exact location, you may be able to walk to coffee, dinner, local stores, parks, or the lake. That kind of access feels different from downtown walkability. It is less about density and more about quality of life. A buyer who wants a home or a flexible schedule may love the setup. Someone commuting across the metro every day will probably still want a car. This is why I call Linden Hills and the Lake areas walkability lifestyle neighborhoods, not automatically car-free neighborhoods. You may not eliminate driving. The win may be that your favorite parts of life requires a car less often. For many buyers, that is enough. Winter changes the answer. Any honest Minneapolis walkability conversation has to include winter. People still walk, bike, use transit, shop, commute, and go out when it's cold. That is normal here. Your personal tolerance decides whether it feels manageable or miserable. A 10-minute walk in June can feel like it's nothing. The same distance in January may feel very different if the wind is sharp, sidewalks are icy, or you are carrying groceries. Transit can work well for certain routines, but waiting outside during the cold months matter. Biking is a part of Minneapolis culture, although not every buyer wants to rely on it all year. That is why car light is usually the more realistic goal. Maybe you walk more in warm months and drive more in winter. Perhaps you keep one car instead of two. A buyer might choose a neighborhood where restaurants, trails, and coffees are close while work still requires driving. The goal is not to prove you never need a car. A smart goal is choosing a neighborhood where your car is not required for every part of your life. So, do you need a car? Most people in Minneapolis will still find a car useful. That does not mean you need to drive consistently. A well-chosen neighborhood can reduce trips, make daily life feel more connected, and give you better access to places you enjoy. Some buyers may be comfortable with one car instead of two. Others may go mostly car-free if work, grocery, transit, bike, and lifestyle all line up. A few people will move here expecting a large city transit lifestyle and realize they want a vehicle after all. None of those outcomes are wrong. The mistake is assuming Minneapolis works the same way for everyone. Your neighborhood decides parts of the answer. Your routine decides the rest. Minneapolis can absolutely support a low car lifestyle in the right area. That is different from saying every buyer can live here without a car. North Loop in downtown gives you most urban setup. Uptown, Lyn-Lake, and Lower Hill East offers active neighborhood living near restaurants, lakes, and trails. Whittier can give you central convenience with practical local feel. Northeast may help you drive less if you choose the right pocket. Linden Hills and the Lake area can work well for buyers who want calmer, more residential, walkable lifestyle. The real answer comes from your week. Groceries, work, transit, biking, parking, winter, and comfort level of all matters. If you're moving to Minneapolis and trying to figure out if you need a car or which neighborhood and lifestyle you want, feel free to reach out. That's exactly the kind of decision I help buyers think through before they choose an area. And if you want Twin Cities relocation guides, Minneapolis neighborhood breakdowns, and practical videos of what living here actually feels like, make sure you subscribe. I will keep helping you compare the details that matter before you decide where you land.